There's callers. All right, everybody. We have got today. We're going to dedicate this hour to our friend and patriot, Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, who was railroaded by the Obama administration into prison, loss of his military credentials. He's a medical doctor, pardon me. And today we want to raise awareness to get him restored back to his military position, get his pension restored back to him, and give him back his good name. And so I don't know if we have anybody on the line as of yet. If we do, we'll pick them up. But Lieutenant...
Howdy, Pastor Manning. Rudy Davis is here.
Hey, Rudy, how you doing? Howdy to you there, Rudy, of Lone Star 76, everybody. Great website, great patriot, one of the strongest men in America today. Rudy ought to run for president, except he's been arrested so many times by the CIA and the FBI. His record won't pass muster.
You're very kind.
That's not true.
But Rudy, we do.
You, Rudy.
You know, we do need
Terry
you.
Lakin, I just signed in.
Do we have Terry Lakin on now? We got Dr. Lakin. What an honor it is to be able to speak to you today. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, the honor is mine, and love to, have the honor to speak with Rudy again, and Leonard also.
Yeah, and Leonard, are you on the line? Leonard?
Yes, I am. I'm quietly listening into it. Yep, I am. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rudy. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Pastor Manning.
Good morning, Leonard.
Good morning.
Leonard, we want to thank you for spearheading this effort to get Dr. Terry Lakin restored. It seems like we're back in court again because Rudy was there. Leonard, you were there. Dr. Lakin was railroaded. This is a travesty of travesties that the media has not picked up on, and the American people have allowed to. One of my great angers at Glenn Beck was that he wouldn't cover Dr. Terry Lakin. I thought at the time he had the ear of a lot of people, and he should have. But that having been said, I believe that we can raise the awareness. I'm going to let Leonard, if you would go ahead and tell us what the goals are. I know Dr. Lakin has patients coming in, and we're going to let Dr. Lakin speak as well about how he has been since he's been released from prison, and tell us a little bit about that so we can try to get this out to as many outlets on the media, social media, that we possibly can. Leonard, give us a little bit, then Dr. Lakin needs to talk.
First of all, I don't want to take credit for spearheading this. I just sort of joined the movement, and I believe it was Marco, Terry's friend, and the one that actually carried all this campaign. So credit is due where it is. But what we need to do is to let as many people know that we have a website, the Whitehouse Drive or petition to restore Terry's title and pension and all of the other benefits that he's entitled to and earned. So as much as we can do by social media, by email list, constantly repeating it, because we know that libtards on Facebook and Twitter, as soon as they see something of that nature, they either push it down or they delete it or they censor it. So we have to do as much as we can, as often as we can, because the time is somewhat limited. I believe the deadline for this petition is the 20th, which is only a few days away. We can probably reinstate that. So let's just spread the word and do it repeatedly on every platform, in every email list. This is all we can do. And if this doesn't work, then we're going to have to brainstorm and sit down and come up with another strategy to work on it, because this is something it's our obligation. I see it as our obligation to restore Terry to rightful place in history and in current life. So this is what my 5 cents is, or 2 cents.
All right. Thank you, Leonard. We're trying to get 100,000 signatures to a petition signed that will raise the attention of our present administration regarding the atrocity that has been inflicted against Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, who served in Afghanistan. He served one tour in Afghanistan, if I'm correct, working there as a medical doctor, dealing with the pilots who'd gone out on these long sorties, flying and dropping bombs and coming back. just very intense over that entire process, being cooped up in the cockpits. And a large part of what I heard testified to at the trial of Dr. Terry Lakin, in addition to being a medical doctor and performing medical services, that he was also a counselor to many of these men who sat in these young boys, 20, 21, 22, 3 years old, 24 years old, sitting in these cockpits, flying over Afghanistan and dropping munitions when they came back very distraught. And Dr. Lakin did a great job of putting them back in mental state, in addition to putting them back in medical state. But when he had served that assignment and was returned back to the States and was asked to go back to Afghanistan under the Obama administration, he did not deploy, and it justifiably would not deploy because he felt that Obama was not the commander-in-chief. He was not legal and could not send him into battle for spiritual reasons, and he declined, and they court-martialed him. He ended up spending 6 months in Leavenworth, if I'm right about the amount of time in the prison, and was defrocked of his medical position, his pension in the military, and is now serving his private practice, and we pray for that. But he needs to be restored back to his military pension, and that's what our argument is about today. Dr. Lakin, could you tell us a little bit about where you are now and how's the family and your practice?
Oh yes, Pastor Manning, I've been blessed. The Lord has taken care of me, I believe, and I've been able to establish a practice in Colorado, and family is doing great. Kids are doing good in school and athletics, and been truly blessed to start over again in the civilian practice. I know that our country's in peril. I think our Constitution is not being taken as serious as it should be, and we're turning our face away from God and our Judeo-Christian values, and we need to get back to that. And I think this is a matter that's not going away about having a potentially ineligible president that deceived the people, deceived the public, had the media behind him, and we still don't have an answer whether we had an eligible president or not. And I think that is the big issue that needs to be continued to be investigated. I mean, the only one that's investigated this is Sheriff Joe Arpaio, and his investigation is pretty damning. That a fraudulent document has been produced and put upon a government website and laid out there as being a valid document to the public, and we just need to. This is my issue of that still remains, and I think that's an important issue for our country.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I don't know if Marco's on the line, but Rudy, I would want to hear your 2 cents worth, if you will. Rudy has been a fighter, a patriot, one of America's finest, if you will. Based in Texas, and Rudy and I have worked together now over the last 8 to 9 years on several issues. And Rudy, what are your thoughts? In fact, Rudy, we were there at the court. Rudy came up from Texas to stand with Dr. Lakin when he was on trial and where he was sentenced ultimately. Rudy, what do you think we can do to get 100,000 signatures? We got enough people. I mean, I have enough people. How do we get them to sign up? What do you think?
Absolutely, Pastor Manning. I have some thoughts on that, and let me say, praise God for Marco Cavallino, who is spearheading this. He is just a good friend, and he is a workhorse for truth and justice. And let me say, Terry, I don't mean to put you on the spot on the radio, but I got to quickly share with you something where you might be able to help me out. As you know, when we heard about this man called Terry Lakin, who was taking a stand for the Constitution, had a fortitude of conscience, of character, and Terry Lakin was standing up for the eligibility of the eligibility clause in the Constitution. My friend, the Texas deacon, and I, we went and passed out flyers at a big Republican convention down here in Dallas at the Majestic Theater. And, they put me in handcuffs. I guess they didn't like me passing out flyers telling everybody about Terry Lakin. That was recorded on video. But then we went to the trial in Fort Meade, Maryland, where we met you, Pastor Manning, and Terry. This is where you can help me out. And I don't mean to put you on the spot on the radio, but I have a friend named the Texas Deacon. He served in the Army in the 82nd Airborne, and he considers you an extreme hero for the position that you took, and in the face of overwhelming opposition, and you stood up for the truth and justice and your oath to the Constitution and the book that you wrote. But we were sitting in this rental car. It was a cold winter day. We had traveled to Fort Meade from Texas, and we're sitting in this rental car, and we look up, and across the parking lot comes walking Terry Lakin in his military dress, and my friend, the Texas Deacon who served in the 82nd Airborne, handed me a camera and said, "Get my picture." And he jumped out of the car, and I don't know if you remember, Terry, but he went up and shook your hand, and I did not get the picture taken. I couldn't figure out the camera, and my friend, the Texas Deacon, gets back to the car, and I think we're going to be celebrating Jesus 10,000 years in heaven, and my friend, the Texas Deacon, still going to be mad at me that I didn't get that picture. So if there's ever a chance at any point in the future, you got to let me redeem myself with my friend and get that picture. But at any point, Pastor Manning, regarding that trial, I remember lots of things from that trial. I remember when they walked in that trial and they took you out of it, there wasn't many black people in the courtroom, and you had come down there with a couple of your members of your parish, and
That's
they walked
true.
right in there and they escorted you out. I remember the Judge Denise R. Lind, I believe is her name. She said that Terry would have to pick a different defense. I remember World Daily writing this up because Terry's defense that he wanted to provide would possibly be an embarrassment to the president. When did we get to a point in our whether it be a military courtroom or courtrooms in general, where a defendant is not able to provide the defense that he needs to provide truth and justice? So. In any event, I just want to say, we appreciate what you're doing, Terry. I think we got to get out in the streets. We got to send that petition to everybody on our mailer list. It's already got over 5,000 signatures. That's a good start. Praise God for Marco and the work that he's done. But we just got to tell all our friends, and we got to establish truth and justice, and restoring Terry to his proper place in history and his proper place in the military is absolutely the right thing to do.
I don't. Is Marco on the line now, Rudy?
He's on the line.
He's on the line?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. The Texas Deacon, he's on the line. Give him my regards when you do talk to him. And shame on you, Rudy. I'll be for 10,000 years. I'll be after you too for not getting that picture of the Texas Deacon. And I've got pictures of the Texas Deacon. You ought to see all the pictures I got with him. Anyway. We need to be able to. I'm going to contact Dr. Corsi, Jerome Corsi, and I'm going to ask him if he will use some of his inner networking circles to. And as soon as we get off the broadcast today, I'm going to give Dr. Corsi a call and ask him if he would help us. We need 100,000 signatures. And, you and I, Rudy, together, we got over 100,000 people that signed us either by Facebook or email or whatever it is, YouTube. But I'm going to ask Dr. Corsi if he'll give us a hand on this one. Dr. Corsi, as you know, went to Kenya during the times of Obama's ineligibility at its height. And I think that might be an avenue. I'm going to also call Dr. Sheriff Apaya as well. I think we need to ask those two to give us a hand. We only have until the 20th of February, next Monday, try to get this done. We can actually get 100,000 signatures in a day. I commit to you, as soon as I get off the broadcast here today, I'm going to call Dr. Corsi. He owes me one, and I think he's going to respond. But Dr. Lakin, I got to tell you, if people don't know who you are, it's because the media has not been able to present you, but I don't pull punches. I think you're one of the finest gentlemen that I have ever met. I do. And I was talking to your dear mother and your brother, also a doctor, in the courtroom when the military police came and pulled me out of there. I was talking to your mother at the time. We were discussing you as a son, as a great son. And the testimony, though some may have thought it was damning in that trial that day, I found it inspiring. And in fact, the transcript of the trial is worth revisiting as a book at some time to really look at your commitment, your courage, and what you gave up, and your demeanor is just extraordinary. Rudy Davis doesn't have the kind of demeanor you have. Rudy will start fighting people. I can tell you that right now.
May we all have the character and constitution and fortitude as Terry Lakin. He is a huge encouragement. One of the things that I remember from that trial, Terry and Pastor Manning and Leonard, is they were doing the voir dire process, and they were interviewing people to be on the jury, and there was a young lady they asked, have you heard about Terry before this trial? And she said, I have. And she says, what are your comments about what you've heard? And her response rings in my ears even unto this day. She said, I follow orders. And I'm like, my goodness, is that where our military men and women are? They just blindly follow orders? And I'm not opposed to following orders. I understand, I can comprehend how important that is. But to blindly follow orders, whether it be constitutional or not, moral or ethical or not, biblical or not biblical, that's not the proper way to approach, from a conscience and a constitution. And praise God Almighty that we have a man like Terry Lakin who stood up and did the right thing and asked the question whether the orders are constitutional or not. So I'll just never forget that young lady saying, I follow orders, acting like that was all that was important.
And again, in that statement, declining Dr. Terry Lakin his constitutional rights to object to following one who does not have the authority to issue orders. I mean, there's a larger argument here to be made on that. But Leonard, you're here. What are your ideas going forward? You work very hard on this matter. What are your ideas as well?
Well, again, instead of talking much, I'm going to be doing as much as I can. I'm pretty much repeating all the actions that I mentioned earlier. Email to your list repeatedly without any guilt feelings, because this is not asking for money or suggesting some frivolous action. This is almost paramount to a life and death situation. I still see it as such. My father was in Gulag back in the hard days of that hellhole USSR, because he survived the German camp as an officer and as a Jew. So he was considered to be a traitor to Germans because no one was supposed to survive that. So he spent about 4 years in Gulag, and only because that butcher Stalin died, he was amnestied. So there's something very deep in my marrow about officers who do their duties, who put their life on the line, and then they punished by those who are absolute disgraceful, not even worthy to be called a human beings. They have no right to bear that name. So Terry is in the special group of people that I have a very, very, very special feelings for. I'll just keep doing emailing, Facebook posting. It seems like every time I post something on my Facebook, it gets deleted or it gets buried immediately. I'll just keep doing, and I encourage everybody who's listening and everybody who is getting my emails and looking at my posts to do the same, because this is, if it becomes viral, we're going to accomplish our goal, or at least we will bring the awareness to it. And I want to remind everybody about the Fort Meade. I happen to sit in the pew behind this famous New York Times writer. I call them repeaters, actually. Maureen Dowd, I think her name was.
Maureen Dowd, yeah.
And the snarky, sarcastic remarks she was whispering to two flunkies sitting next to her during the trial, I almost felt physically sick just being there. So I kind of moved myself out. I decided not to create any scene there. But that was the New York Times representative who was doing the trial at the trial, and she didn't find anything of value, anything of redeeming potential interest to publish. All she was doing there is sitting there listening, trying to find something to criticize, something to put in the negative light. And I believe she did that. A couple of little articles buried in page 370 something. So this is our media. We cannot count on them at all. We have to count on ourselves.
Yeah, and the same thing with the Baltimore Sun writer as well. She was there as well. She was very, very insulting as well about the whole process and the meaning of it. If anything was printed in the Baltimore Sun, I don't remember that it was. But you're right. We have to continue to pursue this. There are a couple of things that I said I'm going to do. We have today, we have 6 days. I'm praying that God will let us do this, that He'll let us get this victory. It'll be one of just a few victories that have happened as a result of Obama flouting the Constitution, serving illegally as the president, and not in any way. And I think that's one of the obstacles that probably a lot of people have. Because actually putting your signature to this ought to state that you still believe that Obama is ineligible. Nothing has made him eligible. Just because he served and has left office, he still is ineligible. And if one believes that, then this will be one of the ways of validating that. And I'm going to see how that works, how that flies. I'm going to send out a flurry of emails and postings as well. I'm going to get together with our staff after this interview and see what else we can do. But Dr. Terry Lakin deserves, and I think that I had Dr. Lakin was here in the studio going back a few years ago. If people knew what a great humanitarian he is, and what a great soldier he is as well, I think people are probably hearing this on first blush, think he's just a rebellious person. The last thing one would ever consider Dr. Terry Lakin is as a rebellious person. But Rudy, I'm going to throw it back to you to see where you are as well as we continue to move along here.
Well, it's we've got to get out in the streets, and what does the Bible tell us to do? The Bible is gives us several examples. Gideon's army being one. We've got to stand up in the face of overwhelming adversity, as the example, as Terry has shown. There's example after example in the Bible of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I think every question that's ever been asked in the history of humankind, the answer is in the Bible. And so, from my perspective, we've just got to rise up and stand up for the truth and state the truth and not be afraid, to lose our fear of any sort of retribution. And just speak up for the truth. And so the truth is that there is no evidence that Obama is eligible. The birth certificate that he's put out is a proven forgery. Sheriff Opaio has proven this to be a forgery. And we have Terry Lakin that has taken a stand for that, and we need to support men who take a stand for that. And rather than distance ourselves from them or run away from them, it seems like a lot of times in the Christian community, when they label somebody a criminal or when they send somebody to Fort Leavenworth, like they did Terry Lakin, which was an atrocity to be separated from his children during the Christmas holidays for 5 months, we need to support men like that and to stand behind men like that. When they give us the godly biblical example of a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we don't need to distance ourselves from men like that. We need to stand up and support men like that. And we need to tell all our friends to do the same. And many times in the Bible, it said the rulers changed their course of action because they feared the people, right? And so that's what this petition is all about. That's what it's making our voices heard all about. If enough people stand up and do the right thing, I think we can change the course of action and get this pardon for Terry Lakin, make a stand for the truth, and reinstate Terry to his proper position.
We've got that petition on our website. And I'm going to ask Leonard. Leonard has got it on his web. And in fact, how do you have it? How do we have it posted? It's on our website. Is that right? We've got it posted up. Who knows what we've got here? LaFleur, how do we have our petition on social media on our website? And people can go and just sign. And I think that Leonard has it on his website. Is that right, Leonard? You got it on your Facebook. How do you have it posted at your place?
Well, you just take a certain link, you put a comment, and you put a link on your page.
Right.
And then you click on share, and you can promote it That's what I do. But like I said, the fake book is definitely on a mission to suppress everything of that nature, especially something like that. This is really not, your Tea Party little town hall meeting. This is a major. I see it as a major event in our country, just like a number of other major events. Because what they did to Terry is unprecedented. It only happened in Soviet Union, in Cuba, and in China. And to happen that in America in the 21st century is beyond acceptable.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I'm sure I'm going to double down on it. I'm just going to believe the Lord. I appreciate all the biblical references coming forth from Rudy regarding how to approach this matter. In fact, in this matter, we only have God really to help us. I don't think a lot of other folk are interested in helping us as well. But I do think that we can accomplish this. I'm confident that we can. We're going to spend the next couple of days trying to get as many people to sign as possible. And I want to ask if there's anyone listening who has access or can somehow or another generate signatures, and maybe you were just applauding Leonard and Rudy and Dr. Lakin for their work, and never thought about maybe, well, what can you do? I mean, how can you, and how can we make this a domino kind of a thing? Surely there must be someone listening right now who, if they put their mind to the process, we're looking for 100,000 signatures. They're not that tough to get. They're not that difficult. We just need people to actually go and sign. I mean, people have a tendency of hearing about things, and maybe they feel, well, I don't know who this Terry Lakin person is, or I don't know exactly what the situation is. But I think that if you've been around for a while, you've listened to us, you know that we would not be giving this kind of sacred concern were this not a sacred issue. And it's one of the great political issues of our time. It truly is. And Dr. Terry Lakin is one of the great, not unsung heroes of our time, but one of the great patriots of our time that has stood up in the face of mega adversity and lost more. I mean, Rudy and I and Leonard, we've done a whole lot of things against Obama. We held a trial. We marched. We didn't lose anything. No skin off our nose. Okay, so we got visited by some unpleasant people, but that was it. We didn't lose any money. But Dr. Lakin, Dr. Lakin lost his pension in the military, where he had put his life on the line to serve in a very dangerous war in Afghanistan. He lost the benefits of that. I've not been to prison. He spent 5 months in Fort Leavenworth prison. I haven't lost anything anywhere near that. And I don't know of anybody, quite frankly, in America over the issue of Obama that has lost anything near where Dr. Terry Lakin, and yet the media will not talk about it. But we don't need them. We can go around them. If you're listening, you got to help this man, and you got to help yourselves, and you got to help this nation by getting out there and getting it. If you can get 5 signatures and then get the people that gave those 5 signatures to get another 5 and 25, if you can do that, that's going to be a tremendous blessing. It's going to be a tremendous blessing. If you, listen right now, you, whoever you are listening right now, do something. This man has lost more than anybody I know over the past 8 years as a result of standing up for this nation and standing against Obama. So please, whatever you can do, do it. I heard a voice of somebody trying to chime in. Was somebody trying to chime in while I was talking? I'll open up the mic.
Yeah, Pastor, I was, listening to everything everyone was saying, and, nothing spreads quicker than through the word of mouth. We all know enough people where we can spread this word. And on our end, Pastor, I was thinking about the fact of, we have some college students in our midst, and so they can help reach out as well. But I think that if everyone contacts everyone and then they share it and ask them to contact other people and so forth, then it would spread even more. But we certainly have the power to get 100,000 and even more so than that, I believe. I believe we can do it.
No, but you're saying get our young people involved.
Yes.
College students.
Yes.
Because they're all networked up to the hill, right?
Yeah, and they know a lot of people on their campuses and so forth. And I think they'll be able to reach more people.
Yeah, we're going to do that then. We got some college kids right here.
Yes.
We're going to ask to go to the college campuses.
Yeah.
And all right.
I want to quickly interject something, Pastor Manning. Everybody I know has several email addresses because we have private things, we have business matters. I personally generated 9 sign-ups. And the process is very simple. You provide the name, John Smith, whatever, John Doe, the email, one of the emails, then that email receives a confirmation request from the White House. Once that confirmation is clicked, it's acceptable and verified, sign up. So if you have multiple email addresses, there's nothing wrong with doing it that way as well. That could multiply our efforts immediately by number 5, at least.
All right, everybody, did we hear that? Everybody heard that? Sabbath, I heard you respond.
Yeah.
Give an affirmative to that.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah. There's a way to get this done. There is definitely a way to have this happen. Dr. Lakin, where are you at now? Where are you practicing? What state are you in at present?
Yes, I'm in southern Colorado and have a pretty busy practice, part of a multi-specialty group that is taking me in, and we have a pretty successful business in a small city here. So,
very good.
You guys are wonderful. I appreciate all the efforts that you're doing, and thank you for doing this. It's amazing how this fake news and our so-called journalists are out there. And I was recently interviewed by a Chicago journalist last week, and I knew it was going to be biased and slanted, but his gist of his article was he thought that Trump was flip-flopping on the birther issue, and it just it still boggles my mind that the journalists can hear everything that I tell them, but yet the fact remains that there is an issue out there that hasn't been addressed, and that's the eligibility. Whether Trump is flip-flopping or anybody else, those are small issues. Our country needs an answer whether we had an eligible president or not, and I hope that we get that sometime soon.
Well, you're right. This matter has not been resolved. You are a catalyst to getting it resolved. I've taught for some time that until this matter is resolved, we can never have a whole nation again. We can never really have a legitimate presidency or legitimate administration until this matter has been resolved. So I'm convinced that it is the forces against it are not greater than the forces for you, Dr. Lakin. I think Rudy made reference of the fact that was one of the coldest days I've spent in Maryland. It was cold that day that they railroaded you off to prison. It was a very, very cold day. But I think the hearts of the people, the group of the people that were there, I don't know if they. I haven't talked to Neil Turner recently. I haven't been in touch with him. He was not at the trial, but I know he's been supportive of your cause for quite some time. And Leonard, I don't know if you've been in touch with Neil recently. I know.
Yes, I have. Yeah, actually, we had a radio show that Terry and Neil was on a few days ago. Mike Bowen.
Right. All right. Well, then we have the fort with the troops. I don't know. I can't see us not succeeding at all of this. I'll listen to what anyone else says. I don't want to talk anymore than I'm talking. I already know what I know. I want to hear what y'all have to say. We have a few more minutes here today before we have to sign off. If we all hearts are clear, we can do that. But I just want to make sure everybody's got their full expression before we conclude here today.
Well, I'd like to suggest to Terry to ask Mark to again another email plea. It seems like he has a slightly, or maybe even better, or a larger list than I do, or Rudy, or whoever else. So I'm repeating myself, which is fine. A repetition in this kind of situation. If we repeat our plea, our pledge, and our ask for help constantly, that's what it takes. Even in marketing and business, you have to send like 5-7 reminders before people take action.
Right.
Unfortunately, so repeat, and ask Marco to send again his request to support. And I wonder if even if we don't collect 100,000 by the deadline, can we reinstate that petition again? Can we start a new one with slightly different wording, maybe? Just keep doing this. As simple as that. Just keep doing the same thing again and again and again, and hopefully we'll break the dam and the water will burst and results will follow.
Also, Charles Kretschner is also helping Dr. Lakin as well. I haven't been in touch with him recently, but he is also very supportive of this process. He was at the trial as well, if you will remember. In his. All right. Well, let's pray that we can do it by the 20th, and if we can't do it by the 20th, well, we'll consider re-upping with a different language style. But there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do this. There is no reason why, except that we're done. And I'm just going to appeal to people. And I think you're right, marketing-wise, Leonard, that we just need to repeat ourselves until finally it dwells on people that they need to take action. And maybe we'll find somebody out there with a spark that will take deep action, and we'll solve all our problems, and we'll take it from there. Anyone else before we conclude here today?
No, Pastor Manning, let me just quickly share this with the audience and just give a quick biblical analogy of what comes to mind when I think of Terry Lakin in this particular situation and the stand that he took. For those that have eyes to see and for those that have ears to hear, I want us to just imagine that we're back in the days of Nebuchadnezzar, right? Nebuchadnezzar puts out this most ungodly order that you can possibly imagine. Everybody knows that it goes against the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so there's one man, and he stands up, and you know that he's surrounded by people who are bowing down, and they're telling this one man, don't stand up, you're going to make him mad, you're going to bring trouble upon all. Just bow down. And I want to read Daniel 3:17 and 18. And this is what I think of when I think of when Terry Lakin came out and made that YouTube video. And for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, that he stood up for his oath to the Constitution, that he's a man of principle, a man of conscience. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said in Daniel 3:17 and 18, if it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, even if the Lord doesn't deliver us, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. When Obama lied to everybody about his constitutional eligibility, and he put out a forged birth certificate, all of the work that Commander Kirchner has done regarding eligibility, and two American citizen parents, when Terry took that stand, we don't even have to be in danger of going to the fiery furnace. All we got to do is have eyes to see and ears to hear and recognize a man that is taking that stand. Terry Lakin's already been to the burning fiery furnace. He spent 5 months in Fort Leavenworth prison. All we got to do is stand up and support this man. The leaders of our day will be forced to take action if enough of us raise our voices, and I pray that we do.
Well, the verse very powerful, one of my more favorite verses, and I'm falling more in love with that segment, Rudy, with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and their stance against Nebuchadnezzar as the days go by. Thank you so very much for planting that word in our hearts, and I'm gonna just let it grow further as we reach out to help Dr. Lakin. And you're absolutely right, we will not fail in this process. Anyone else, and then we're gonna chime out everybody.
I thank you all for those words and what you're doing.
All right, Dr. Lakin, thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Rudy. And look for my phone calls and contacts for our next time together, if you will, please. Thank you all so very much for your sharing, and we will be victorious.
Amen.
God bless you all. Peace out.
God bless you, everybody, and peace out to y'all as well. All right, but let's take a real quick break. And we'll be back with the remaining minutes of the Manning Report. Stay with us, please.